Okay, we have another extra video. This one is going to be a little bit different. This time I'm not going to focus on the lore, I'm going to focus on our country overview. This is probably one of the first videos I should have done because this changes throughout the game. So we're just going to have a look here at what the current situation is in the government and our policies and whatnot. These current situations, for example, seem to have changed through some of my choices already. So I'll be coming back to this in the actual Let's Play part of this, but we'll just kind of see where we are now before things change any further. Anyway, under law, our current policies, the BFP is banned. Ex-President and our founder, Tarquin Sol, declared the British Freedom Party, or the BFP, to be an illegal criminal organization due to their secessionist activities. Any suspected member of the party shall be arrested without trial. Any event, operation, or organization suspected to be colluding with the BFP will be disbanded and its partakers arrested. Probably has something to do with this yellow human rights deal. The Reform Committee. A Reform Committee has been formed to discuss the possibilities of a new constitution with all parties in the government, something that we will hope to make happen. The President may veto bills. The President may veto bills according to Articles 77 and 82 of the new Constitution, by returning it to the Assembly with a written statement. The President is also impeachable by the court. According to Article 17 of the new Constitution, the President of Sordland is not responsible for the actions performed in the exercise of presidential duties, except in the case of high treason or violation of the Constitution. In such cases, the President may be impeached by the Supreme Court in a joint session with an absolute majority of its members. That's an interesting thing that the court is put in that. See, I feel like the courts should be more reactive, and that it is actually the government itself who is supposed to bring this. But then I guess in this situation for this government, it takes the possible political bias out of it. Aside from the fact that we know very much that the Supreme Court is packed with old guard and whatnot. But the political parties of the legislature would not therefore protect or be able to protect one of their own, as might be reflected in current real world events. But yeah, I don't know, that's an interesting thing that the court takes that over. Ministers are chosen from the Assembly. The President appoints the ministers to the Council of Ministers from elected members of the Assembly. Also an interesting choice. This means that you don't pull ministers from leading members of a certain industry to take over, that they have to actually be politicians who get appointed to the Assembly. That really only makes sense if they are allowed to go into politics as having previously been in that industry themselves, too. That's... Well, in this game, they seem to be. Anyway, election threshold of 10%. According to Article 50 of the new Constitution, a political party needs a minimum of 10% of the total national vote to win seats in the Grand National Assembly. The votes of the parties who pass the threshold are redistributed proportionally. Presidential decrees. According to Article 18 and 51, the President may issue decrees on political, social, and economic issues that would carry the force of law. However, they could not contradict the Constitution and are subject to judicial review. The Assembly may pass legislation on the same subjects to override presidential decrees. Unlimited terms. According to the Constitution, the President may be elected to serve an unlimited number of terms. I'm not sure we want that. Immunity of justices. The justices of the Supreme Court are not responsible for the actions performed in the exercise of their duties. Sacred cows. Honorary membership gives immunity. Article 99 of the new Constitution defines the Member of Honor title, its appointment procedure, as well as the rights their members may exercise. A Member of Honor has absolute immunity and is a permanent member of the Grand National Assembly. He/she is entitled to his/her security team provided by the state's presidential guards. A member is also eligible to live in a special private residence provided by the state for free. The only Member of Honor is Tarquin Sol. I would like to get rid of that because no one in a democracy should be able to just be put on a pedestal like that. Constitution amendments require Assembly and Supreme Court. According to Article 5 of the Constitution, an amendment may be proposed by members of the Assembly with at least 150 signatures. See, that's not scalable. if the assembly grows, this number needs to be changed. It needs to be percentile, such as a 2/3 majority vote in the Grand National Assembly and a simple majority vote in the Supreme Court is required for the amendment. See, this is kind of a real-world problem with a lot of things that get passed. Having a solid number, as opposed to one that scales, because then it just creates constant need to come back and vote on any changes, whereas you could just do it once and it would be far more efficient. Anyway, so our current situations, we have a court backlog, which is pretty bad. A significant court backlog is putting a strain on the legal system, causing delays, disorders, and even unintentional injustices due to late responses by judges. We also have bad women's rights, limited women's rights. Women in Sordland suffer from extreme sexism both in workplaces and at home. The law bans any girls to learn natural science, social science, and the like. Really. They are always paid less comparing to their male counterparts. At home, they have no legal legal protection in the case of abusive husbands. Wow. We need to change that. The Blutish problem. Sordland has a complicated relationship with the millions of Blutish people living inside its borders. The Blutish people don't get the same treatment as Swords. This is something I would like to change. And in fact, I feel like we have. I feel like this was read at one point. But I feel like I've made some decisions in the Let's Play already that have helped. Judicial rivalry. The Supreme Court and the Ministry of Justice are in a political, legal, and constitutional rivalry about who has the higher legal authority. That's interesting. So any of these things, then, imply that they will change, implying that the issues will come up in the game. So this is something, I guess, I'm going to have to deal with at some point. That is interesting. Some human rights. Some human rights are respected, albeit violations still exist due to the extensive law enforcement powers. Yeah, we'd like to rein that in. But the only good thing we got going on right now is freedom of the press. Sordland enjoys a free right of communication and expression through the media. Okay, let's talk about the economy. We are currently promoting a market economy. We are promoting a market economy system and advising businesses to shift towards this goal. And we have done the Economic Relief Act. The government passed a relief act to tackle the economic difficulties the country is going through, which currently is apparently a good thing. Stimulus checks were distributed. The government supported citizens in need with stimulus checks, allowing them to pay for food and rent. The relief helped millions of people. But we have a middling problem of stagnated production. The mismanagement and lack of direction of economic policies, along with the recession, has resulted in a stagnation in production of goods. And then a lot of bad things in our economy right now. Ag and land lacks investment. Due to the lack of investment, the region's economy is going down at a rapid rate, causing an increase in crime, homelessness, and unemployment. See, now here's the thing, right? Well, okay, never mind. I was going to say the fact that these two exist, relate obviously to the very first issue I had to deal with in the series. So I was going to say, this would indicate that I should have gone with that, but then again, here's the weak transport link. So I imagine when that project is done, this is either going to go yellow or green, and this will remain red, but maybe we can come back and do something with that. Anyhow, the Lauren Rust Belt. Due to the lack of investment, the region's economy is going down at a rapid rate, causing an increase in crime, homelessness, and unemployment. The Berja economy is also plummeting with the same reasons. A decreased trade volume. The previous government led unsuccessful attempts to solidify trade, and combined with the recession caused a decrease in trade volume. Okay, so we need trading partnerships, hopefully with some of our big neighbors. Hopefully we can have that as part of our big package of mutual defense as well, because that is an issue currently in the series. Tax evasion. Serious tax evasion practices are exercised by important businesses and other parts of the populace. I'm willing to bet I know who. Unemployment crisis. High unemployment has caused a huge socio-economic crisis in Swordish society. And we have weak transportation links. Weak transportation links are slowing down logistics and internal mobility in the country. We will hopefully have that solved here. The military. Gendarmerie under defense. The Gendarmerie is an armed law enforcement organization which maintains security and public order. It primarily focuses on rural security, but can be deployed to assist cities by mayors. I'm guessing this is like a National Guard situation, but I don't like the law enforcement part. because that's not what that should be. We don't need an extra paramilitary organization stuck in there. Swordish General Staff. The Swordish General Staff is a military planning body comprised of the top generals. And we have compulsory military service. The military is a conscripted force. Males serve in the military upon reaching the age of 18. Now, in our People's segment, one of those guys, who is currently a part of my ministry, I believe, said he would like to get rid of this and go towards volunteer, which I will be on board with when that happens. We have experienced generals. That's good. The Swordish General Staff consists of several experienced generals with countless years of service in the military. We're going to need them. Large reservist pool. The military has a large reservist pool to draw from in a time of war. I mean, I guess. I wonder why that's yellow. Probably because it's a huge drain on the economy right now, but being reservist means that they are also just general citizens, so I wonder if that's going to be affected by getting rid of compulsory military service, and that's why it's large. Anyway, internal security jurisdiction. The Ministry of Defense has the right to exercise security inside Sordland due to the secret police, basically. Outdated military equipment. Decades-old equipment in the armed forces are negatively affecting combat capabilities. We should probably fix that just a little bit. Military interference in politics. The military actively interferes in the political landscape, using their influence and power to further their will. Yeah, so this is how we're going to have to balance this, because the military is too powerful. Welfare. Freedom in curriculum. Under the law, educational institutes have the freedom to teach either creationism or evolution. Voluntary vaccination. For decades, Sordland adopted a voluntary vaccination policy, allowing the citizens to choose for themselves and their kids to be vaccinated or not. And Renan welfare principles. The revolutionary welfare principles which laid out that the state shall give welfare services by the Renan aristocracy are being questioned. I'd like to know more about that. Good urban institutions. The developed urban areas of Sordland have well-funded welfare institutions. We are under a solist education system, though, with schools and universities providing a solid understanding of our founding father Tarquin Sol. Our future citizens will be loyal subjects to the state. No. We have an inconsistent curriculum. The differences between certain governments have caused serious inconsistencies in the curriculum taught in Sordland. So I have a feeling we're going to come up on that then. We're going to have to talk about the educational system. Education was one of the 4 choices at the very beginning of the game, I believe. Inaccessible rural education. Accessibility to education remains a huge issue in rural Sordland, with schools long distances away from small villages and towns. We also have low-quality health care, and that was one of the main things that I wanted to... Well, I guess the promises. One of the 4 promises at the beginning. And so far that has not come to be a thing. The underdeveloped rural part of Sordland suffers from low-quality healthcare services, with little to no hygiene, causing illness and death. An overburdened welfare system. The welfare system has been overburdened due to a lack of funds and political mismanagement, causing the system to crack. Probably has something to do largely with our current economic policies and crises. Order. State security privileges. Members of the security apparatus in Sordland enjoy excessive privileges in society, something we need to change. We are currently under a nationwide revolt. There are violent protests happening across the country due to recent events. If we don't contain the situation, it will do great harm to our country. We also have organized crime. Dangerous crime gangs like the Coronelli and Skinner cartel are conducting organized crime activities and evading the law. Illegal immigration. Sordland has not decided on how to handle the increased immigration, leaving loopholes in the system that tend to be exploited. You'd think that given our current tinderbox situation, this means they would be leaving, but we also have high corruption, which is a main problem. Sordland suffers from widespread corruption, creating systematic inefficiencies. It should probably be systemic inefficiencies and damaging the rule of law. And diplomacy. We are neutral. Neutrality is a foreign policy to not align with or against a power bloc. So I imagine this is going to come into play eventually when we'll choose between either Cantana, Arcasia, and ourselves. We are also an OMEC member. The Organization for Mercopan Economic Cooperation stimulates economic progress and increases continental trade. We are an AN member. The Alliance of Nations is a global organization that maintains peace, security, and cooperation among nations. We have experienced diplomats. The diplomatic corps of Sordland educated some of the finest diplomats who've done well in the past century. So we got that going for us. We are also an influential OMEC member. Many economic experts of the founding OMEC members were of Swordish descent, thus Sordland is a key member. Under diplomatic pressure. Sordland is under noticeable pressure from Rumburg through a reduction in diplomatic staff and the closure of a key consulate. We also have a lack of allies. Sordland lacks strong allies to secure its independence and prominent role on the international stage, and we're under the threat of Rumburg expansionism. The expansionist doctrine of Rumburg in the last century has caused a highly volatile situation on the Mercopa continent. Yeah. All things that we are currently having to deal with. Let's look real quick if there's anything. Yeah, I don't. Important events, miscellaneous. I want to keep these separate, I think. Dealt with. Whoa, well, I mean, I guess I could. Johann Gasmi. Lots of people here, but I think we'll come to them through other prompts. Because we have gone through a lot. Like, we've gone through all of the cabinet. Yeah, we'll save that for a separate video. So this will be a short one. I will see you next time.